Hello, my name is Heather Keck and I'm the Lead Safety Officer for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Today's briefing has been arranged to summarize the main factors that contributed to the loss of NASA Challenger shuttle flight STS-51L and NASA Columbia shuttle flight STS-107, as well as provide recommendations for how to avoid similar tragedies in the future. On January 28, 1986, Challenger shuttle flight STS-51L exploded after only 73 seconds in flight, resulting in the death of all crew members aboard. Investigations determined that the direct cause of the explosion was failure of two O-ring seals located in a joint of the shuttle's right solid rocket booster. 17 years later, on February 1, 2003, Columbia shuttle flight STS-107 broke apart upon re-entry to the Earth's atmosphere, resulting in the death of all crew members aboard. Investigations determined that the direct cause of the accident was a foam strike that had occurred during launch that resulted in fatal damage to the shuttle's left wing. While the direct factors that led to these disasters were mechanical in nature, the indirect factors that precipitated them are related to much deeper organizational issues within NASA. The first issue that contributed to the Challenger shuttle explosion was improper handling of concerns regarding the solid rocket booster's O-rings. The failure of the O-ring seals to seat properly was not isolated to the Challenger shuttle flight STS-51L. Rather, the issues with these O-rings had been known to NASA for several years. Prior to the explosion of the Challenger shuttle flight, there had been 24 previous shuttle missions that utilized these same O-rings, several of which showed evidence of blow-by and erosion. Despite these known concerns, shuttle missions utilizing these O-rings were allowed to continue. Familiarity with the O-ring design, the redundant nature of the O-rings, coupled with the multiple previous successful shuttle missions using these O-rings, resulted in a false sense of security and confidence and allowed many in NASA to rationalize away the evidence they faced, showing that there was something wrong with the design and function of the O-rings. The second issue that contributed to the Challenger shuttle explosion was the dismissal of the Thiokol engineers' concerns regarding launch. Engineers like Mr. Bozjali and Mr. Arnold had openly and repeatedly expressed their concerns regarding the O-rings and how low temperatures might negatively affect them. However, during the final teleconference preceding the Challenger shuttle launch, none of the Thiokol engineers voiced their concerns, even though none of them supported the decision to launch. Records show that the engineers had received repeated pushback, pressure, and cognitive bolstering from many on the teleconference calls that preceded the launch, including from higher-ranking NASA administrators. In response, the Thiokol engineers finally suppressed their dissent and their concerns were ultimately dismissed by management. The third issue that contributed to the Challenger shuttle explosion was poor leadership from both NASA and Thiokol. Thiokol engineers had repeatedly raised concerns regarding the integrity of the O-rings, especially in cold temperatures. However, NASA administrators Mr. George B. Hardy and Mr. Lawrence B. Malloy took part in cognitive bolstering and repeatedly minimized the unfavorable alternative of canceling the launch. The direct pressure from NASA administrators did not go unnoticed and resulted in Mr. Joe Kilminster, Vice President for the Thiokol Space Booster Programs, recommending to proceed with the launch, despite the fact that none of his engineers supported the decision. At this time, both NASA and Thiokol were under financial pressures. NASA was under pressure from federal funders to meet aggressive mission goals. NASA had also been pressured into reopening the bidding process for the production of their solid rocket boosters. Therefore, for the first time in 13 years, Thiokol was in jeopardy of losing their $1 billion contract with NASA. Among the members of Thiokol's management that knew about the contract negotiations was Mr. Joe Kilminster. Both NASA administrators and Thiokol management poorly managed the situation and allowed their organization's funding and performance goals to outweigh safety concerns. Let us now analyze the deeper factors that contributed to the Columbia shuttle accident. The first issue that contributed to the Columbia shuttle accident was improper handling of concerns regarding foam strikes. Foam strikes were a common occurrence during launch and have been well documented by the time of the Columbia shuttle's mission in January 2003. Over the years, these foam strikes have become so routine that NASA paid very little attention to them, despite the fact that foam was not supposed to be shed from the external tank and that the shuttle was not designed to withstand foam impacts. The frequency of foam strikes and their seemingly insignificant damage on the shuttle had lulled many at NASA into a false sense of security and confidence and allowed many to rationalize away the evidence they faced, showing that there was something potentially very dangerous about the foam strike that had occurred during the 2003 Columbia shuttle launch. The second issue that contributed to the Columbia shuttle accident was the dismissal of the NASA engineers' concerns regarding the foam strike. The engineers involved in the debris assessment team had repeatedly attempted to raise their concerns regarding the potential foam strike that occurred during launch. However, on the few occasions that they tried to escalate the issue, NASA's management system overwhelmed them and their concerns were never justly addressed. Acting Manager of the Mission Management Team, Linda Ham, denied one request for high-resolution footage from the DoD after consulting with managers in Houston, but not the group of engineers that had actually submitted the request. The second request for this footage, submitted by a different group of engineers, was never elevated to Ms. Ham's attention, and the mid-level employee that intercepted the request assumed that Ms. Ham would also deny this second request. Upon receiving this denial, the debris assessment team did not press the matter further. On January 24, 2003, the debris assessment team presented the findings of their assessment to the MMT, which included their concerns about the foam strike. The MMT instead steered the discussion away from the potential burn-through and toward the launch schedule. Having been faced with repeated pushback and dismissal of their concerns, including from higher-ranking NASA administrators, the engineers ceased their attempts to further elevate the issue and suppressed their dissent for fear of jeopardizing their careers. The third issue that contributed to the Columbia Shuttle accident was poor leadership on NASA's mission management team. Despite concerns raised by various groups of NASA engineers regarding the foam strike, NASA Administrator Linda Ham did little to investigate and address those concerns with the engineers themselves. She even denied the Kennedy Space Center request for high-resolution DoD footage without ever consulting the engineers that had submitted it, because the engineers had failed to follow proper procedure when submitting their request. Had Ms. Ham and other higher authorities within the MMT fully investigated the engineers' concerns, instead of dismissing the foam strike as a routine and mundane occurrence, this tragedy may have been avoided. In order to reconcile decision-making issues that investigations uncovered, we propose that the NASA Space Shuttle program's mission management team be reorganized into highly effective work teams. These work teams will be focused on collective and coordinated efforts in achieving their shared goals. The recommended work teams would foster a work environment of trust that encourages open and effective communication between members and leadership. The work team will be structured to empower members to freely share ideas and concerns without fear of reprimand. Work team meetings will be conducted in an improved manner to ensure that all team members are given an equal opportunity to have their ideas and concerns heard and addressed. MMT management will now receive annual professional development on how to successfully provide leadership to the work teams they support and how to ensure that the work teams are operating as efficiently and smoothly as possible. Internal approval processes and procedures will be reevaluated under these work teams to ensure that MMT staff have access to all needed resources and information to perform their jobs successfully. This will include improved processes for obtaining high-resolution footage from DoD partners. Furthermore, new performance evaluations will be conducted annually to assess how team members and their leaders reinforce team effort and encourage team accountability. Yearly team development workshops will be implemented to allow teams and their leaders to further develop important collaboration skills and techniques, as well as strengthen team bonds. The recommended work teams will be composed of members from various skill sets within the MMT and from various Space Center locations. These groups will foster diversity in specialization, experience, and skills, and should promote a healthy mix of technical expertise, problem-solving skills, decision-making skills, and interpersonal skills. Newly designed professional training opportunities will be required periodically throughout the year to encourage development of these skills within work teams. As mentioned, the work teams will promote collaboration within MMT and across the different Space Center locations. This is to ensure that each mission's goals are supported by all involved and that there are reduced opportunities for communication gaps and duplication of efforts. The recommended work teams will be centered around a design that promotes autonomy, flexibility, and the opportunity for its members to expand their skill sets. Current processes and procedures will be reviewed and revised to eliminate any unnecessary or cumbersome steps. Work teams should be able to complete their shared goals without unnecessary obstructions, delays, or red tape. This increased flexibility and autonomy will allow work teams to more easily and quickly respond to uncertain or problematic situations. The recommended work teams will be designed around a common purpose and shared goals. The common purpose of the MMT work teams will be to prioritize safety on all missions. While putting safety first, they will ensure that missions are well designed and efficient. The common purpose and shared goals will provide direction for work team members and provide focus and vision. The work teams will encourage task conflicts. The work team climate will support the sharing of perspectives and ideas, even when they conflict. Healthy dialogue and debate among members with diverse opinions can prevent groupthink and lead to creativity, innovation, and improved decision-making. Implementation of well-structured work teams focused on these characteristics will improve coordination and performance across the MMT and can help to reduce the organizational issues that contributed to the Challenger and Columbia shuttle disasters. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Further information regarding these newly designed work teams will be distributed shortly. We look forward to receiving your feedback.